Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're diving into one of the most powerful ways to improve your English fluency, and something many learners aren't taught in school, but it's absolutely essential if you want to sound natural and confident when you speak. It's called the lexical approach, and it forms the core of everything you do on my courses, and you'll see why in a few moments. Now, that might sound fancy, but don't worry, I'm going to explain exactly what it is and why it's so important, and how you can use it to become a smoother, more fluent English speaker. So grab a drink, a cup of tea or coffee, sit back and learn. The lexical approach is based on a very simple but powerful idea. Fluency isn't just about grammar. Grammar is important, obviously, but fluency is about knowing the right combinations of words, what we call lexical chunks. And this approach was made popular by a guy called Michael Lewis back in about 1992, who argued that language is not just individual words or grammar rules, which are important, but it's made up of thousands of chunks of language that native speakers use automatically. It's how you learn your own language. These chunks include things like collocations, phrasal verbs, idioms, and fixed and semi-fixed expressions. Don't worry, I'll be explaining what all those mean. And the truth is that native speakers don't build their sentences word by word. They use these ready-made phrases, these blocks of language, without even thinking about it. And that's what makes their speech sound natural and effortless. Why is this important for you? Because when you concentrate solely on grammar, you hesitate, you're translating in your head. Your speech starts to sound a bit mechanical. When you learn lexical chunks, you stop thinking about every word. You start thinking in phrases. And that's what speeds up your speaking. It speeds up the flow of your speech and makes you sound fluent. Let's break down the different types of lexical chunks you need to learn. We have collocations. These are natural word partnerships. A collocation is when two or more words naturally go together. They're the word combinations that sound right to native speakers. Other word combinations might sound odd. So, for example, we take responsibility. We make progress. Two fairly obvious ones. We give an explanation. We don't do an explanation, we give an explanation. You could say do progress and people would understand, but it would sound a bit strange. And that's because in English, we say make progress. That's the natural chunk. And collocations aren't just two words. They can be longer. We can talk about a significant increase in prices at short notice, deeply concerned. Learning collocations will help you avoid unnatural combinations and make your English sound much more authentic, much more like a native English speaker. Secondly, we have phrasal verbs, the big challenge. Phrasal verbs are probably one of the trickiest areas for learners. These are verbs combined with one or more particles, prepositions or adverbs, and they often have idiomatic meanings. For example, break down. My car broke down on the way to work. But break down can also mean that someone collapses emotionally. Look into. We look into the problem. We look into it. Run into. I ran into an old friend yesterday. Doesn't mean that you ran into him physically and knocked him down. It means you came across him accidentally. We can also say bump into. Bump, bump. Again, it doesn't mean you physically bump into someone. It means you came across someone. So what makes phrasal verbs tricky is that the meaning has nothing to do with individual words. And as we've just seen, many of them have multiple meanings. Let's look at some more. Look up can mean search for information. Look it up online or improve. Things are looking up, getting better. Turn down can mean reject. I turned down the offer. Or can you turn down that noise, that volume, turn the music down? Another thing to know is that many phrasal verbs can be split, meaning you can put the object between the verb and the particle. So you can say, pick up the book. Or you could say, pick the book up. Turn off the light. Turn the light off. Both are fine. It's flexible and often depends what sounds better in the sentence at the time. If you want to sound fluent, you need to get comfortable with these. They're everywhere in spoken English, and for learners, they're something of a nightmare. Idioms, the colour of the language. Idioms are fixed expressions whose meanings you can't understand from the individual words. So, for example, hit the nail on the head. It's to describe something exactly. It's nothing to do with doing it physically, with a hammer, hitting the nail on the head, banging it into a piece of wood. It means someone has said something and you think that they've said exactly the right thing. You've hit the nail on the head by saying that. To burn the midnight oil is to work late at night. In olden times, of course, we didn't have electricity. We'd have an oil lamp. So if you were working late at night, you'd be burning the midnight oil to work late at night. To bite the bullet is to do something difficult or unpleasant. This one comes from the army and warfare. If a soldier was injured and had to have an operation and there was no anaesthetic, they'd put a bullet between his teeth to bite on to ease the pain, and so he didn't bite his tongue. We use it meaning to do something difficult or unpleasant, even though we don't want to do it. So I have to go to the dentist. I'm dreading it, but I'll have to bite the bullet and go. Idioms can be frustrating for learners because they don't make logical sense, but part of how native speakers naturally communicate. We just don't realize we're using them. Some idioms are old-fashioned and not used much anymore, but others are modern and common. On the ball. If you're on the ball, you're alert and efficient. To spill the beans. To spill the beans means to reveal a secret. To cut to the chase is to get to the point. Oh yeah, and just going back to revealing a secret, another one, of course, is to let the cat out of the bag. And that does have an old origin. I won't go into it now. I do have a separate video about the origin of idioms, but to let the cat out of the bag means to reveal a secret. Oh, Amanda's let the cat out of the bag. She's told Susan about the birthday party which we're going to have for her It was supposed to be a surprise. As I said, native speakers use idioms without even realizing it. It's just automatic. In fact, if you ask an ordinary British person in the street what an idiom is, they might struggle to explain. Probably have an idea. They may think of proverbs, but off the top of their head, that's another idiom. They might find it hard to think of examples. The same goes for collocations. Before I did my teacher training course, I got no idea what a collocation was. So again, the ordinary person in the street is unlikely to know. They just come to us automatically through combinations of words that sound natural. And phrasal verbs, again, before I started teaching, I didn't know what a phrasal verb was. I used them all the time, but I didn't know what a phrasal verb was. So yeah, all these are automatic to us as native English speakers. So if you want to understand native speakers and sound like one, learning idioms is essential, learning collocations is essential, and learning phrasal verbs is. Now we come on to fixed and semi-fixed expressions. So what do I mean by these? Well, I've said that idioms, in a sense, are fixed expressions, but I mean something different here. Fixed expressions are phrases that are always used in the same way. Like, what's the matter? I don't mind. It's up to you. Oh, let's call it a day. They're ready-made chunks, and there are so many of them. Semi-fixed expressions are slightly more flexible. In fact, they're very flexible. You can adapt them to the situation, but the structure stays the same. So, as far as I'm concerned, we should leave now. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter. What do you think about? What do you think about having dinner? What do you think about going out? What do you think about what's happened? There's no point in. There's no point in arguing about it. There's no point in watching that film. We've seen it before. Another one, you're sitting having dinner. Can you pass the salt, please? Can you pass the sugar? Can you pass me more potatoes? I have a thing about fixed and semi-fixed expressions because they're seldom covered in teaching English. You don't find them, a list of fixed expressions in textbooks. You might find collocations in more modern textbooks, collocations, phrasal verbs and idioms, but not these fixed expressions. And they're so useful. They are what occur to us naturally as native English speakers. And these expressions make your speech flow more naturally. They help you to structure your sentences without having to think too hard. So to sum up, if you want to sound fluent, confident and natural in English, you need to focus on more than just grammar. You need to focus on lexis, the words and the phrases that native speakers actually use. The lexical approach shows us that fluency comes from knowing and using collocations, phrasal verbs, idioms, fixed and semi-fixed expressions. Semi-fixed expressions can also be called generative chunks. They generate something else. The more of these lexical chunks you learn, the less you'll hesitate, the better you'll understand others, and the more confident you'll sound. So start listening for these chunks in conversations, in films and podcasts. Make a list of them, practice them, try them out, and bit by bit, they'll become part of your automatic speech. That's how you move on from good English, fair English, to real fluent English. One other thing I think I should mention is that yes, you can come across these by reading, of course you can, but intonation is also very important. I find this with my advanced and even proficiency students when I do my Chatterbox Zoom workshops, that often they know the expression, but the intonation, the stress is in the wrong place, so they don't sound quite right. But as we go through the various courses, I'll be stressing the intonation. And if you come to our Chatterbox Zoom workshops, then we do a lot of practice on those. Okay, so that gives you a fairly brief summary of what the lexical approach is and what's included in it. So how about doing a few exercises now and seeing if you can remember some of the lexical chunks which I've already used, and maybe I'll throw in some other ones which you should really know, but may not. Let's see. Okay, see you again later. Oh, I nearly forgot. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you download my free guide to lexical chunks. The link is in the description. Okay, see you soon.